Trevor Milton of Nikola Motors is going to jail. Well, at least in early 2023, he will be sentenced, and he's facing up to 25 years in jail. The guy who thought he was the next Elon Musk, constantly comparing himself to Elon whenever he was pressed on his business's doings, right? Nikola Motors, how they were performing and the claims he was making. He always compared himself to Elon. As much as I don't like Elon has not been in court and facing jail time. But this guy is, for the claims that he made, the fraudulent claims that he made in 2020 and before. Between 2019 and mid-2020, he made so many fraudulent claims about the capabilities of his business, Nikola Motors, that went public via a SPAC called Vector IQ, which I actually invested in for the reasons that he's going to jail, right? Because he lied to investors. He made up so many claims and pretty much said that his business was going to outdo Tesla and that he was going to out Elon.
There's very few people that can out Elon in this world, and I'm one of them.
While Tesla is higher today, Nikola shares are tumbling.
And federal prosecutors did not like that. They went at him hard, and they might actually throw the book at him when he's sentenced. They got him on 2 counts of fraud and another count of securities fraud. And the top charge there is up to 25 years. So if the judge decides that, hey, we're going to make an example of this guy. We're going to show them that if you lie to investors, if you mislead investors, if you try to defraud investors in the United States of America, you will be sentenced to jail, and you will be in jail for a long time, let alone all the fines you're going to have to pay and your company's going to have to pay. Because Vector IQ did have to pay a fine of a couple $100 million in 2020 to settle their disputes with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, for the fraudulent statements that were made by their CEO. However, Vector has completely kept themselves out of this whole debacle after that by not even commenting. They said, hey, we cooperated with the feds, the prosecutors. We did our part. The rest of it is between Trevor Milton and the prosecutors and the judge. We don't want any parts of that. And the company continues to go on. They're actually trying to fulfill the fiduciary duties to their investors. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, actually building a product and getting it to launch. And the stock hasn't done too well since being up to around $65 per share after rising from 10. Now it's back down to around $3 per share due to all of this roller coaster. Investors were hoping that, hey, this might blow over. And after the stock fell from $25 per share and then it went back up to 40, people thought, hey, this might actually work. And now it's back down to $3 per share because of the lies that were told to investors. In the USA, as we saw with Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos, the fraud case against her, where she also was convicted, she didn't get charged on any of the counts against civilians, against victims, actual people who were victimized by her fraudulent claims and actions with her program with Walgreens, where they would run actual blood tests on actual people. No, none of that was brought against her. What she did get convicted on was misleading investors, was lying to investors, was defrauding investors. In the US, you can screw over the poor. You can screw over the middle class. You can even screw over your employees. The one group you can't screw over is investors, the money class, the ones with all of the wealth, the capital. We're a capitalist society. And as sad as it is to say, nobody else matters besides the investors, the capitalists. And that's evident in the cases against Trevor Milton of Nikola and Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos.
Nikola shares are tumbling after a short seller called the company, quote, an intricate fraud built on dozens of lies. Phil LeBeau joins us now with the details. Some fairly harsh words there, Phil.
Oh, harsh words, Tyler. And that quote that you read came from Hindenburg Research. This is the report on Nikola. It's fairly hefty. We're not going to go through all of the allegations that they made against Nikola, but it basically comes down to this. They say the company has made false statements, it has rigged its truck reveals, and it's had misleading demonstrations, specifically revolving around the hydrogen fuel cell Class 7-8 or Class 8 semi-truck that it plans to build over in Europe. And this is the video. This is one of the key points that they make, saying, look, this is really not video of the truck running. They pulled it to the top of the hill. They pushed it down. In response to this report, the chairman of Nikola, Trevor Milton, says cowards run, leaders stay and fight for integrity. Hindenburg is only making people love us more for trying to destroy us. It will take the rest of the day to address the one-sided false claims, but I will put out a detailed report to address it. In the meantime, troll on.
So let's just do a quick rundown of how we got here to this point. You now know Trevor Milton is likely going to jail, but how do we get here? In 2020, early 2020, Nikola Motors went public via a SPAC called Vector IQ. I invested in it around $10 per share, $15 per share, whatever the case was. I was in there pretty early. And I saw the stock rise to 25, 40. Eventually, it went up to as much as $65 per share. I was really bought into this company because it was one of my first SPACs, a special purpose acquisition company, which I've covered in many videos on this channel. We're one of the top channels on SPACs, and you should go watch those videos if you're interested in learning the benefits and advantages of SPACs when CEOs are not lying to you, which is rare because the SEC and the prosecutors are going to crack down anyone who misleads investors. So it's rare. We're in a rare situation right now. So believing that, I invested very heavily into Nikola because the claims that were being made, they were feasible, they were reasonable, and it was a technology that had potential. So I invested in it, and I actually did pretty well. Before the short report by Hindenburg came out in September 2020, after Nikola became a public company, I actually exited my position in Nikola because I got tired of Trevor. I could see all of the lies that he was saying, and I explained this in my video on September 13th of 2020, explaining how this guy just felt so fraudulent to me, so fake, always trying to compare himself to Elon and Tesla and saying things that he just couldn't show. He's always talking. He never actually showed how the company was doing what he was claiming. And it turns out they weren't, because part of this court case, these charges, is that all the claims that he made about their charging facilities, they don't have any charging facilities, at least at the time they didn't. The technology didn't work. The trucks didn't work. They released fake videos of their interior systems working, their info systems working. They didn't work. It was all fake. So this guy made up so many claims, and I saw it pretty early. And so after a bunch of times, I just realized, okay, this guy is trouble. And I left my position. And I actually said it in my video at the time, because he felt like another Elizabeth Holmes to me. And I made that comparison in that video. And now he's facing the same fate that she is, as she's facing jail time. So Trevor, he got what was coming to him. He isn't the next Elon yet. Elon has his own fraudulent claims that he makes with full self-driving. You might not agree, but that's what California believes, where they're saying, hey, we're going to crack down on this name of your full self-driving technology because it's not actually full self-driving. So you better stop calling it full self-driving, and they're actually going to make it illegal soon. So I guess it's not too different from Elon in that way, where they just say things, but at least Elon has a company that is selling millions of cars. The technology is working to a degree. It may not be fully autonomous, but it does part of what it says it is supposed to, and they're selling. So, Trevor, I hope you learned your lesson, because the federal prosecutors really want to make an example out of you. And they said that this should be an example to anyone else, any publicly traded company that wants to mislead investors and defraud investors. They will come after you, which is why I feel pretty safe investing in the public markets, because the SEC is always looking out for investors. They may not always take action when they should, but eventually they get the bad guys. They find them, they take them down, they save investors from their fraudulent claims. So, hey, SEC, thank you for doing your job. The prosecutors in New York, thank you for doing your job. And Trevor, good riddance. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, and I will see you again next time.